Ever since Disney discontinued the Magical Express service that they offered guests that were staying on Disney property, a lot of people have wondered if Disney would try and find some sort of replacement service that would take the place of this. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what the Magical Express was, it was complimentary. If you were booked at a Disney resort and you flew into the MCO airport in Orlando, they would take you on a shuttle to your resort where you didn't have to worry about renting a car or other means to get to your resort. You just showed up, got on a bus, and you were there, and then they would take you back to the airport when it was time for you to go back home. And as someone who had used it, it was a nice service. It was something you didn't have to worry about, one less thing to stress about. And there have been lots of ideas thrown around there, and one of them is a rail service that would take guests from the airport to somewhere on Disney property. That was declined by Disney just a few years ago. It seems like Disney might have had a change of heart since then, so we have an article here we're going to go through and talk about this, because it seems like Disney wants in on the railway from MCO to Disney property. So, hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic, and we have an article here from Blog Mickey. It says Disney Oversight District to financially support Sunshine Corridor train project connecting Disney Springs and MCO. So what made this interesting is the fact that at one point back in 2022, Disney World was going to have a Brightline stop at Disney Springs, and then those plans were changed, whereas Disney didn't want any other stops along the way before they got to Disney property, so they backed out. So this is from the Theme Park Insider here. This, again, back in 2022. The Walt Disney World Resort is bailing out on the plans for a high-speed rail system across Central Florida, according to a new report. The proposed Brightline expansion from Orlando International Airport to the Tampa area was supposed to stop at a station in Disney Springs, but now plans are in the works for a station near International Drive, and Disney is pulling out. The next phase of the railway was to continue on to Tampa, initially extending west from the Orlando Airport along the Central Florida Greenway to Disney Springs. But Universal Orlando and other businesses in the International Drive area, including local government officials who wanted the Orange County Convention Center to be included, complained about that route, which would have gone straight from the airport to Disney. Universal even offered land next to the convention center in its upcoming Epic Universe theme park for a Brightline station, which would be the first station riders boarding at the airport would reach. That route moves a Brightline down Taft-Vineland Road to State Road 528 and then along Interstate 4. As such, it would not preclude a stop at Disney Springs, as the shopping and dining district's Grapefruit parking garage backs up to the interstate. But for now, it appears that Disney will not participate in the rail project unless it gets a route more to its liking. So basically, Disney didn't want people being able to go to both Universal and Disney. And local officials wanted, obviously, you're talking about more tax money from sales tax and things. Plus the convention center, Orlando is, I believe, number 2 in the world in convention. So there's a lot of traffic or people that come from the airport that go to the convention center anyways, even before Epic Universe opens. So it would make a lot of sense to provide this to that area, but Disney obviously didn't want that, so they backed out. And since then, this has been something that has been looked at quite the potential advantage that Universal would have as a direct way to get from MCO to Epic Universe very easily. It would still cost you money to ride this, but it would be something that would be simple. You could hop on it and just go from the airport, which brings this new thing, this new district, this new financial support for the Sunshine Corridor into a different light here. It says the Central Tourism Oversight District Board of Supervisors, which essentially used to be Reedy Creek and now is the new state board basically that oversees Disney, is set to meet next Friday, and its agenda lists an item to support the proposed Sunshine Corridor train project that would connect Orlando International Airport, Disney Springs, and beyond. So essentially, the Oversight District of Disney would provide $500,000 in support for the Sunshine Corridor study. The project development and environmental study is a necessary step needed before the project can obtain state or federal funding for the project. Last month, Universal Orlando committed $2 million to the study, and according to a report from a local news station, WKMG, the Central Florida Commuter Rail Commission is seeking about $6 million for the study. Universal's announcement last month was to match a $2 million commitment from the Florida Department of Transportation. The $500,000 from the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District is technically money outside of Walt Disney World, but it is money that is mostly possible thanks to taxes paid by Walt Disney World to the district. More details about the $500,000 are expected next week ahead of the Board of Supervisors meeting. And then they've got a graphic below here that shows the route it would go, which you have MCO right here. In the blue is this Sunshine Corridor study area. And then in this orange line is the proposed Sunshine Corridor. it would go here, and then you have Orange County Convention Center, which is right near Epic Universe, and then they would make a stop at Disney Springs. So initially, this was the initial route that was going to happen because Disney wanted from here straight to Disney Springs, and they basically opted out because there was going to be a stop at the convention center before it got to Disney Springs. It says once funded, the PD&E study could take up to 2 years, which with the actual train operation still many years away from that. Construction of the rail line could take 4 or 5 years once it receives the green light. So as a lot of these train proposals and projects you've seen in other areas, these things seem to take forever. So I don't know if this thing will ever happen. If it does happen, it makes a lot of sense for Disney to basically be part of it. It seemed at the time that Disney was trying to flex its muscle. They didn't get what they wanted, and they decided to back out. Universal stepped up. They not only provided money, they provided land to it, as it would be something that I think would be used quite a bit. Again, it's coming straight from the airport. You just hop on a train, go right to where you want to go, whether that's at the convention center or Epic Universe or over to Disney Springs. So obviously, it seems Disney perhaps has a change of heart. Now, they're not saying they're going to basically for sure get a station here. This is essentially a study to see the impacts of it. But if you look at the route here, they're including Disney Springs here. I think if you're Disney, it makes a lot of sense to include yourself on this, as I think what maybe Disney has to come to terms with is they're not going to have as much muscle, I guess you could say, in terms of persuasion as they've had historically. I mean, Orlando was built by having Walt Disney World there, undoubtedly. But as Universal has become a much bigger destination, as Epic Universe is going to become a huge destination, they are going to have much more of a say in things, especially considering they're closer to actually International Drive in Orlando. So there's a lot of businesses around them that would benefit from a rail station stop right here, the convention center, and there's lots of tourism places around that area. It also isn't too far away from, the main campus of Universal Studios, but from there you would have to take another transportation method to get there. And if you want to see some concept art, this is what the station is proposed to look like. This is from Fox 13 in Tampa. Basically, it said at this point, this article was written in 2023, but it was saying that the station could be completed as soon as 2030. So this is still a ways off if that timetable is still accurate. I looked around. I couldn't find anything updated past a few years ago where this was really being heavily talked about. So this is not just a railway specifically for Universal or specifically for Disney. It's part of actually taking it all the way to Tampa. More than likely, both of them will get on board with, just because it makes a lot of sense to do it. But I did think it was interesting that the fact that Disney basically tried to flex their muscles, seemingly didn't get their way, and now they might be coming back to the table, just realizing, hey, this makes sense to do this, even if ideally we want to be the only stop. But if you're not going to get that, it's better to have a stop versus no stop here. So like I said, this could be completed by 2030. It also could be, who knows, 2040. These train projects seemingly are money dumps and take forever to get completed. So if and when we ever see this, it's likely Disney will be part of this, at least according to this study, seeming from their posture here. But Universal is definitely more invested in this, as they're putting up $2 million for this study. They already put up land, and I think they put up, I can't remember how much, they put up millions to have this train station be near Epic Universe. So obviously they see quite the impact from this potentially. So we'll have to wait and see on the details when this will be done. But it looks like Disney might be part of this at Disney Springs to be a stop. But either way, that's going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about this Brightline Railway? And do you think it's something that a lot of people will utilize? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.